the evidence for some advanced civilization in extremely remote prehistory that was able to do some of these large megalithic anomalous projects all over the world. And they just almost completely vanished because we know there was a massive destruction, extinction event, and flooding event.
And
with
multiple of them.
With the Younger Dryas period.
Do you
And
think
they're
some
just
of
almost
them,
completely gone?
Do you think some of them are still here?
Yeah, I do.
Where are they?
Underground and under the water.
They're living under the ocean.
Yes, and under the ground. Yeah, I do.
Have you heard of Project Looking Glass?
Nope.
It sounds familiar. What? Remind me.
It was, I think it was in the 60s or 70s. It was a project done by CIA and the Air Force, or maybe the Army. And it was one of those like psychokinetic programs they were doing, or they were working on during the Cold War. And they built some sort of a device for remote viewers to go into. And in this device they built at S4, they could actually remote view into the past and into the future. And there was a guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he went into the device and he basically saw like a cataclysm that wiped out the human race, and the survivors went underground and built like underground cities and catacombs. And over tens of thousands of years, humans evolved in this weird way because there was no sunlight. Human beings evolved into what looks like these gray aliens because there's no light. Their eyes got big, their bodies became really skinny, and it's a theory now that those gray aliens are like coming back in time to like visit us and like make sure that we go down the right path.
To result in them?
Exactly. Exactly. To make sure to ensure their survival in the future. Love that one.
It just seems like I don't want to completely skirp that one, but
that's a good one.
Yeah, if you're already there in the future and you're there, it seems like anything you do going back into the past is only going to mess it up.
Exactly.
Right? So unless there's some other force trying to change it that you're fighting against, all you're going to do if you go back in the past is going to actually change the future, which is what you're already in. I don't know.
The idea,
which is why the UFOs are trying to stay. They're
completely
not trying
out.
They're trying to stay away from us. They're just trying to observe us, right? This is the zoo hypothesis, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Why do they keep starting cults?
You don't even need the time travel,
right?
Though, really. You just have this continuous civilization passing down knowledge, and they've been doing this for who knows how long. And if they were living underground, turning into the Greys or whatever, they could still be flying around in crazy UFOs, but they're not necessarily time traveling. All I'm saying, you could remove the time travel aspect from that and still have it work.
Right.
That they're just involved in things that are going on today, but they're not widely known.
Yeah. No, yeah, you could.
And they've maintained their technology for who knows how long.
Well, I mean, I do think that something that, I think of this like sort of like the third party hypothesis that something has been sort of injecting information or very slightly interfering with human development for a long time. Like Paleo-contact. I don't know if it's aliens or if it's a future version of ourselves or if it's something even stranger. I don't know. It could just be a parallel track of human development that went underground or underwater a long time ago, and they're just us, but they treat us like uncontacted tribes.
Right.
Like a breakaway civilization, but we're talking about they broke away 20,000 years ago, and they just don't want to have anything to do with us, except then they see we start blowing up nukes, and they're like, whoa.
Right.
This is our planet too. And then they start showing up and they're like, yeah, we're from, I don't know, Venus, whatever. Stop blowing up nukes. They don't want us to know that they actually live here. And then you get this idea of like how often in ancient texts, when they're writing about visions or religious experiences, is it really an encounter with this third party? You know, and maybe some of it is like, I don't know, Project Bluebeam style, where they're just making a projection. And here's the angel, and it's covered in light, and it descends from the sky. It isn't, a person; it's a hologram or something.
What is Project Bluebeam?
The Project Bluebeam idea is that somebody would have the technology to sort of make a lot of people believe that an alien event had happened, or the second coming of Jesus, or whatever. It's like a mass psyop. That would be visible to everybody in the sky. Some kind of giant hologram.
Oh, like 3D holograms.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe what happened with Joseph Smith, right? He saw something like that. Some angel came down and told him a message, in his bedroom or whatever, told him about the tablets. And it was like connected to a beam of light or something.
Yeah.
I mean, Bramley wrote about this, the Gods of Eden book this was his idea. He was like, I was looking in history for what are the reasons for all the conflicts and wars? There's this idea of maybe there's this secretive cabal of people who have been profiting off of wars and causing them for a long time, like some kind of secret brotherhood, that has been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. But the farther back he went, he was just like, well, wait a minute. When you go far enough back, it looks like they were gods. And the texts talk about them coming down from the sky. So he connects it to aliens and UFOs. But it's just as likely, I think, that it could be something from here, and all you have to do is sort of fly over to the less advanced people and descend from the sky, and they'll think you're a god.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to be from space to do that.
One of the weirdest things to me about the whole Anunnaki story is how they seemed like very similar to us in a way that they would start wars or be fighting over things.
Yeah, breed with us.
And I wouldn't. Yeah, whenever I think of like super advanced beings, I feel like they would evolve past that, like these deep primordial instincts of like fighting and being territorial and that kind of stuff. And if you're like this crazy enlightened god, why the fuck would you be going like starting wars? You would think that they would have a better way of doing things.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it was just a game to them.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like you get two like anthills and you make sure that they start fighting each other just to watch. We call it hurling humans. Like you go all the way back in time and you see like these gods were gathering large groups of humans around them, and they would throw them at each other. Like, my humans are going to attack your humans.
Oh,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Who has the best army?
I've got the best humans.
Yeah, my humans are going to kick your humans' asses.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that guy who I had just had on here was explaining to me all about how apparently, according to these texts, that we were created and our lifespans were dramatically shortened, and people were living like tens of thousands of years before us, and then all of a sudden we only get to live 120,000 years. And you blew my mind last night when you're talking about how it's in the Bible. That's actually in the Bible.
In Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, his days will be 120 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's right after the flood that God basically decrees that man will live no more than 120 years. And before that, the antediluvian patriarchs of the Bible were, it's 600 years old, 900 years old, 800 years old. Noah was old. Noah was like 600 when the flood happened, something like that. Methuselah is, famously I think he lived to almost 1,000 years before he died, but they were all, they've lived a very long time. And then after the flood, no one lives that long anymore. And it's like this decree.
Mm. And there's a similar story with the Tower of Babel where it's like God is looking down at the people building the tower. First, the people are like, they have survived the flood.
Yeah.
It's been maybe 600 years or something like that. So these people are aware that the world was destroyed in the past. And they're like, hey, let's come together and we'll build this tower. So they have this goal of building a tower to the heavens and being all of one language so that they won't be scattered throughout the earth again, because they witnessed that, their ancestors had witnessed it with the flood. And then it switches to the God narrative, and he's looking down and seeing that they're building the tower, and he's like, because they're all of one language, nothing that they set their minds to do will they not be able to achieve. In other words, they'll be able to do anything they want. So we must go down there, destroy the tower, and scatter them and confuse their language so that they will be scattered. And it looks like...
Confuse their tongue so they can't work together.
Yeah, it looks like another set of attempts to prevent us, because the follow-up is, otherwise they will become like us.
Yeah.
Is what he says. So it's like,
so if you're thinking of, you know,
prevent them from becoming like the powerful.
So if you're going with the, you know, if you're going with the like the pure religion, and like, is this is supposed to be the creator of the entire universe, and he's worried that humans are going to become him, or is this something else? This is a story about something else. You know.
Yeah, because the traditional interpretation is that man's hubris makes him believe that he can be like God, right? And that's true. Like we can be arrogant, and that is a flaw. But another way to look at it, when you just think of the narrative, that there is some other group of beings out there that are concerned about us becoming as powerful as they are.
Yeah.
And when we look like we're getting to that point, they put a stop to it.